I'm Evelyn Rusli with TechCruch TV. You're now watching our backstage coverage, and joining me right now is David Sze and Reid Hoffman of Greylock Partners. Thanks so much, guys.
Our pleasure to be here.
So a pretty big announcement today, a $20 million or so fund, micro VC fund, right?
Yes.
That's how you guys are classifying it. So tell me, actually, let's step back for a moment and talk about how this came together. So how did this partnership, between Reid Hoffman and Greylock, come aboard?
Yeah, so we've been an early investor in LinkedIn, and I was the board representative, and Reid and I became.
You are the board representative.
Yes, continue to be. Fair. And Reid and I developed a strong working relationship, and also a lot of respect and a friendship over that period of time. And as we brought in Jeff Weiner, who's the CEO and doing a great job, and as Reid was thinking of moving to a chairman role, he was thinking about this angel investing that he'd been doing just incredibly successfully, arguably the most successful angel investor of the last decade, and was thinking about the values that he'd seen at Greylock, and it seemed like it was a great match. And so we're excited to bring him aboard, and we've been blown away by the demand for him at the angel sort of seed level, and that's sort of why we decided to address this.
Now, previously, David, you mentioned that Reid was one of the most sought-after investors in the Valley. So what did you say to him that convinced Reid to come on, or at least from your vantage point, what did he say?
Yeah, I think Reid should answer that.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things that I think is really important is, look, this is all about partnering with great entrepreneurs. And so the culture of what you want to be as an investor is you want to be a very good partner. And one of the things that I had found by working with David and the rest of the partners at Greylock was that the culture of, like, how do we help partner in order to create something really big was perfect, right? Values and transparency, values on kind of good collaboration. Good collaboration is not backseat. Good collaboration is how do we help? How do we do this together? And it goes everything from asking hard questions to rolling up your sleeves and digging into it. And one of the things that I thought was really essential in terms of how you can partner well with entrepreneurs is you've had the experience of doing it yourselves. So, part of David had deep experience in both early stage and late stage companies as an executive. That was extremely helpful. Anil has co-founded 2 companies, right? That kind of we've been in the trenches. We do that, and we know how to partner. Was absolutely key to the kind of thing that I wanted to be doing, and so it was a very natural fit.
Yeah.
Also has to do with the kind of partners we look for. Every one of our partners has 10+ years of operating experience in the domains they invest in product, whether it's engineering or marketing and product. We think those specs are really important to helping an entrepreneur, help them grow, and they've seen it from junior roles to senior roles, from small companies through hypergrowth through public companies, and so we can help bring that to the table. And our view is, any way we can be of service to building a great, lasting value company, and we look to our co-investors and we look to everyone who's involved with the company to bring the same energy, and we think things will work out pretty well.
For Greylock, why do this, David? Everyone's talking about how the VC industry is changing and it is evolving, and that they're somewhat adapting some of the techniques that super angels or people who are micro VCs are using. So how do you see this as fitting into Greylock's larger strategy?
Yeah, so Greylock, Greylock's a 45-year-old firm. We've done seeds and angel investments, the equivalent to seed investments, all during that period of time. We continue to do them on the enterprise side, which is done slightly differently. We have numbers of EIRs, and we founded a number of companies working very closely. On the consumer side, because of some of the dynamics of building those businesses, there has been more change, and the opportunity exists where you have to move faster, be willing to write smaller checks, and think about it very much the way Reid has always thought about it. And so having this gem, this national treasure in Reid join the team here, first thing we did is when we saw the kind of deal flow and the demand on his time and what the requirements of that market was, to say, let's not hold him back. Let's let him do great things with entrepreneurs.
So part of why this the Discovery Fund is so important is because one of the things that frequently happens in especially early stage consumer but software investments is there's a time period where you're actually still wrestling with some of the fundamental questions. You haven't locked in enough that you would want to do a large multi-million-dollar investment, that you have enough proof points and enough risk out of it, but you're actually still, you've got something really interesting, but you're trying to hone it. And that was actually one of the things that I used to work with a lot of these companies as an angel, because it's kind of like, okay, you got an interesting idea, you've got an interesting space, and how do you get it in a place where it's set on that possible rocket ship trajectory? And we as a firm want to work with that. But the problem is, of course, is you don't sometimes overcapitalizing a company can be actually not good partner activity. So you want to do a small amount of capital and then help them get into that rocket ship trajectory. And this fund is part of what allows us to do that as a firm.
Yeah. So over the next few months, over the next few years, as you deploy increments of 25,000 to 500,000 into these young companies, a lot of entrepreneurs in general, and especially the ones here, want to know, what are you looking for? I mean, when you're talking to these entrepreneurs or companies to be, what is the personality? What is the dynamic of the founding team? What are some things on your checklist?
So the thing that's really important in founders and entrepreneurs is commitment to excellence, passion. Generally speaking, it's very helpful to be product oriented, right? Because especially in consumer, the product orientation. A willingness and, a matter of fact, hunger for learning, because part of when you're founding a company is you're solving a new problem that hasn't been solved before. Otherwise, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Right? And learning that, and then being able to have both the vision and the charisma and the organizational, like learning the organization in order to attract other really great people, in order to accomplish this huge thing, because you're building something from nothing. That's one of the things that's great about entrepreneurship.
Reid's been teaching us some of the thought processes around that, and we've done some, but I also, it certainly helps if you're excellent or your team is excellent technically. I mean, that's really important in the space. Design is an important aspect of this more and more, and really understanding, having a passion around that. We also look for entrepreneurs that really want to do something great and change the world and do something really big, because that's really important. And I think in the founding passion, along the way, it doesn't always end there, and we all dodge and weave. But the whole point is, if you don't start out trying to build something great, you never will.
So beyond that template, what are you looking for in terms of sectors? Are there specific trends that you're trying to latch onto right now? I mean, Reid or David, you can answer that.
Well, so one of the things is, I actually think it's a mistake to too much think that you're predicting the future. It's entrepreneurs who bring something that they have seen that's stunning to you. That's always the most interesting thing. Now, that being said, of course, the trends in mobile are interesting. The trends in how consumer meets enterprise are interesting. There are things that we notice in terms of which sectors are burgeoning, because in order to bring us as good partners to the entrepreneurs, we're paying a lot of attention to what's going on in the industry and marketplace so we can partner well.
I also think, I always look at, for an entrepreneur, I totally agree that the innovation comes from the heart of the entrepreneur. And so we try to find those great entrepreneurs and we try to listen to them. And quite honestly, they're usually telling us something that we haven't thought about. If we've thought about it, then probably other people have thought about it, given our advantage. And it's probably not a great idea. They're telling us about something that's interesting in a way we haven't thought of before, where we look at that person and we see the things we described in a great entrepreneur, and we see that idea and we go, wow, that's amazing. We've got to be involved with that. And so that's what we look for.
Well, thank you so much, guys. We're going to have to wrap it up at that point. Once again, my guests today have been David Sze and Reid Hoffman of Greylock.
Thank you.